Last week, the foreign minister of India from Modi's government was in Washington, where he was publicly rebuked by the US Secretary of State, Blinken, for the behavior of government officials and the police in India. Later in New York, at a press event, Jaishankar defended the Modi government's handling of the religious violence by saying that people are entitled to have their views and they also have their views about America. Then he referred to an attack on two Sikh men in New York by indirectly saying that you are not so perfect, so don't lecture us. Now, what Jaishankar is readily hiding is very telling of how the Modi government is handling the rapid descent of social cohesiveness in India. It is what people recognize as whataboutism. Now, instead of looking at why others are pointing fingers at something or telling them what's going on, they get so defensive. If you say, well, it's raining today, they would say, what about yesterday? Well, if you say, don't eat too much cheese, they will say, well, what about that kid there eating so much cheese? Now, they always find someone or something to justify their own screw-ups. The New York City incident was a street robbery where two Sikh men were the victims. So the New York police charged the suspect with a robbery. On top of it, they charged the suspect with a hate crime, a far more serious offense than a street robbery. That, Jaishankar, if you are ignorant about it, is how a government in authority should respond. What the Modi government, of which you are an unelected member, holding the office of foreign minister, is doing is deliberately abdicating that responsibility to enforce the basic rule of law. Crime does happen everywhere, in every country. Of all people, Jaishankar, you should know better. But how a government and the police react is what matters. It is governing 101 if you want to go back to college and study the entire political science course along with your famed prime minister. I remember an old saying. It says it is better to keep your mouth shut and be known as a wise man than to open it and show your ignorance to the whole world.